Hey there, reality sleuths! Welcome back to Veiled Realities, where we sketch the invisible and narrate the unspoken. Today, we're diving deep into tales so twisted they vanished without a trace. Literally, but with a creative twist. Through imaginative art and enthralling tales, we're bringing to life stories of ghost ships adrift at sea and individuals who disappeared into the ether. So buckle up and let your imagination roam free as we peel back to veil the world's most baffling disappearances. Remember, the only thing that's truly missing in our world is boredom. Let's unleash the mystery. The MV Joyita Mystery. In the vast, unforgiving expanse of the South Pacific, the MV Joyita set sail in October 3, 1955, from Apia, Samoa, destined for the Tokulu Islands, a journey expected to last just over 2 days. The sturdy wooden vessel, built as a luxury yacht in 1931, and later repurposed for commercial use, was no stranger to the open sea. Yet, what should have been a routine voyage turned into one of the maritime world's most enduring mysteries. The Joyita carried 25 souls on board, a mix of crew members and passengers, each with their own story and reasons for making the trip. The cargo hold was filled with a variety of goods, including medical supplies, timber, and food, destined for the remote islands. And there was no indication that the journey ahead would be anything but ordinary. The sea was calm, the weather fair, days turned into weeks, and then the Joyita failed to arrive at its destination. Concerns grew. A search and rescue operation was launched, scouring the vast ocean for any signs of the missing vessel. It wasn't until a month later, on November 10, that the Joyita was finally spotted, adrift over 600 miles of course in the Fiji Islands, a ghost ship with no one aboard. The mystery deepened when investigators boarded the vessel. The Joyita was found listing heavily to one side. But remarkably, it was still afloat. Despite the damage and the flooded engine room, the ship's design had prevented it from sinking. But where were the passengers and crew? The lifeboats were missing, suggesting a possible evacuation. But why abandon a ship that showed no signs of sinking? The scene on board was eerie and perplexing. The ship's radio was discovered set to the international distress frequency, yet no distress calls had been received. The captain's logbook, which could have offered clues to the Joyita's fate, was missing, along with navigation equipment and personal belongings of the crew and passengers. Speculations ran wild. Piracy? Mutiny? A covert military operation? Each theory seemed as plausible as the next, given the Cold War context of the time. Yet, none could be confirmed. The fate of the 25 souls aboard remained a mystery, their stories frozen in time, swallowed by the vast Pacific. Disappearance of Owen Parfitt. In the mid-18th century, in the small quiet village of Shepton Mallet, England, lived an enigmatic figure named Owen Parfitt. His story, steeped in mystery and speculation, continues to fascinate and perplex to this day. Owen's life before his astonishing disappearance was as ordinary as any. A former sailor, his seafaring days had endowed him with tales of high seas and distant lands. However, age and infirmary had confined him to his sister's care, rendering him nearly immobile and reliant on others for his daily needs. One evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows over the cobblestone streets of Shepton Mallet, a peculiar event unfolded. Owen, dressed in his heavy old coat, was placed outside by his sister to enjoy the remnants of the day. The street was quiet, save for the occasional passerby and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. As dusk turned to darkness, Owen's sister expected him to call out for assistance to return inside, as was their routine. However, this time there was silence. Concerned, she stepped outside, expecting to find her brother enjoying the cool night air. Instead, she was met with an empty chair. Owen Parfitt, despite his frailty and inability to move on his own, had vanished without a trace. The immediate search yielded no clues. It was as if the earth had swallowed him whole. Neighbors and villagers joined the search, combing through fields, alleys, and gardens, but Owen was nowhere to be found. Rumors swirled about Owen's past. Whispers of his days at sea hinted at hidden treasures, dark deals, and even piracy. Some speculated that his past had finally caught up with him, snatching him away through supernatural means or the hands of those seeking revenge or hidden wealth. Others pondered if he had somehow summoned the strength to live on his own, driven by a longing for one final adventure. Years passed, and the mystery of Owen Parfitt remained unsolved. Theories abundant, from the plausible to the supernatural. Yet, none could conclusively explain how an elderly disabled man could disappear so completely. The Sarah Jo Mystery. In the heart of the Pacific, the story of Sarah Jo begins, weaving a mystery that has baffled minds and stirred the seas of imagination for decades. Picture this: a serene morning in 1979, as 5 friends from Maui, brimming with the spirit of adventure, set sails aboard to Sarah Jo, a modest but sturdy vessel. Their plan was simple: enjoy a day of fishing in the vast blue expanse. The sea was their playground, the horizon their limit. But nature had other plans. A storm, fierce and unforgiving, the likes of which Hawaii seldom saw, brewed on the horizon, transforming the day from a jovial outing into a struggle for survival. When the Sarah Jo and its crew failed to return, the community's worry turned to dread. A search ensued, vast and thorough, spanning the tempestuous sea and the islands dotting it. Yet no trace was found. The Sarah Jo, along with its crew, had vanished, swallowed by the ocean's enigmatic depths. Years turned to decades, and the mystery of the Sarah Jo became a haunting legend, a tale of sudden disappearance and the sea's unyielding mystery. Then, a discovery reignited the embers of this long-cold case. Far from the shores of Maui, on the coast of one of the Marshall Islands, the wreck of the Sarah Jo was found. It lay there, a silent witness to the passage of time, its secrets guarded by the sand and surf. But the tale takes a turn toward the uncanny, with the discovery of a single grave, marked with a cross, made of driftwood. Here lay the remains of one of 5 friends, a tangible link to the Sarah Jo ill-fated voyage. The questions surged like a tide. How did the boat and its companion end up thousands of miles from their origin? Who laid him to rest in this distant land? The answers, however, remains as elusive as the fate of the other 4 men. The discovery of the Sarah Jo and the grave offers a poignant closure to part of the mystery, yet it also deepens the intrigue. The sea and its vastness keeps its secret well, leaving us to wonder and wander in the realm of possibilities. Keith Reinhard's disappearance. In the quaint, historic town of Silver Plum, Colorado, nestled in the Rocky Mountains, a mystery unfolded that continues to haunt the region to this day. This tale begins in the late 1980s, a period when the past seemed to brush shoulders with the present, and the story of Keith Reinhard would become a part of local lore. Keith Reinhard was a man of ambition and adventure, a sports journalist from Chicago who longed for a break from the ordinary. In the summer of 1988, at the age of 49, Reinhard decided to take a sabbatical. He was drawn to Silver Plum, a town that whispered tales of the Old West and promised the solitude necessary for Reinhard to embark on a personal quest. His goal was not just to rejuvenate, but to write a novel, something vastly different from the sports column he was known for. The novel would be a reflection of his own experiences, a narrative interwoven with the fabric of this historic mining town. Silver Plum's charm was undeniable. Reinhard rented a retail space, which he transformed into an antique shop named the Higher Elevations. This shop would not only fund his stay, but also served as a gateway to understanding the local community and its rich history. The name of the shop itself was a nod to both the physical altitude of Silver Plum and the lofty aspiration Reinhard held, with its rugged landscapes and the remnants of a bygone era. But Silver Plum held a shadow within its beauty. Just a year before Reinhard's arrival, another man, Tom Young, had also sought solace in the mountain town. Young, too, had rented the same retail space before disappearing into the mountains with his dog, leaving behind a mystery. A month later, hunters found Young and his dog, both having died from gunshot wounds in what was deemed a suicide. The eerie parallel between Young's disappearance and his own project was not lost on Reinhard, who became increasingly fascinated by Young's story. It seemed to mirror the themes of disappearance and mystery he wished to explore in his novel. As summer waned, Reinhard felt the pressure of his looming return to Chicago. Despite the beauty and isolation of Silver Plum, his novel remained incomplete. On August 7, 1988, driven by a desire for closure and perhaps a final adventure in the mountains, and the story of Tom Young unresolved in his mind, he had grown to love, Reinhard told friends he intended to hike to the top of Pendleton Mountain. It was a trek familiar to him, yet fraught with challenges. The hours ticked by, and night fell over Silver Plum. Keith Reinhard did not return. A search began, extending over weeks, with volunteers combing through the rugged terrain for any sign of the missing rider. Despite their efforts, no trace of Reinhard was found, not on Pendleton Mountain, nor in the surrounding wilderness. The man who had come to Silver Plum in search of a story had himself become the story, vanishing without a trace, in a twist of fate as enigmatic as the novel he sought to write. Jodi Huisentruit's Vanishing. In the pre-dawn silence of a summer morning, the quaint town of Mason City, Iowa, became the backdrop of a mystery that would capture the nation's attention and haunt it to his day. This is the story of Jodi Huisentruit, a vibrant and ambitious news anchor whose sudden disappearance left a void in the hearts of those who knew her and sparked a relentless search for answers among those who never had the chance. Jodi's day started like any other, with the promise of the morning news broadcast ahead. As the lead anchor of KIMT-TV, her presence on the screen was a daily comfort, her smile a familiar beacon of light to early risers in the small community. But on June 27, 1995, that light was extinguished in the most mysterious of circumstances. The first sign that something was amiss came when Jodi failed to show up for work that morning. It was unlike her to be late, let alone miss the crucial opening of her broadcast without notice. Concerned, Her colleagues reached out, only to be met with silence. As the hours ticked by, worry turned to alarm, prompting to call the police. Investigators arrived at Jodi's apartment complex to find a scene that was as puzzling as it was chilling. Jodi's red Mazda Miata was still in the parking lot, but signs of a struggle painted a sinister picture. Among the scattered items, Jodi's red-eye heels, a blow dryer, hair sprayer, and earrings was the most ominous clue of all, drag marks indicating a struggle that had taken a desperate turn. The discovery triggered an immediate and extensive search, casting a net wide across Mason City and beyond. Yet, as days turned into weeks and weeks into years, the fervent hope of Jodi's safe return dimmed under the weight of unanswered question. Theories abundant, from the possibility of a stalker given Jodi's public profile to more personal motives rooted in relationships or work. Yet, despite exhaustive investigations, countless interviews, and the analysis of every piece of evidence, the case grew cold, leaving only speculations in its wake. And just like that, we've reached the end of our mysterious journey through the vanishing acts of history, illustrated with the brushstrokes of imagination and narrated with the flair of an epic tale. If our journey through the shadowy realms of veiled realities has intrigued, entertained, or even just confused you in the most delightful way, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Dive into our treasure trove of videos for more tales that bend reality and stretch the imagination. Until next time, Reality Sleuth, keep your mind open and eyes peeled and your spirits high. Stay curious.